Week 5 start sit for wide receivers is here. 65% started in ESPN leagues. What do you do with Ja'Marr Chase? That and more coming up next. Heading into week 5, it's almost like you have to play Ja'Marr Chase. I understand a little bit of trepidation. I understand why it's at 65%. I understand why there are 35% of owners out there that still haven't thrown Ja'Marr Chase in their lineup. When you look at the target totals, they've been a little up and down all season long. Whether T. Higgins has been in the lineup or not, those targets have been a little erratic. In PPR, that's a scary thing. It's hard not to see the upside with Ja'Marr Chase, though. It is hard not to see the upside this week against the Green Bay Packers. Packers, no more Jair Alexander. You think about the Packers probably going to be able to move the ball a little bit, and you're probably going to have to see the Cincinnati Bengals play a little bit of catch up, or at least pass a little bit more than 25, 30 times in this specific game. That's good news for Ja'Marr Chase. I understand T. Higgins, good chance he comes back this week. I don't think that is going to interrupt Chase too much. We also have to realize that Joe Mixon, quite possibly, not going to play on Sunday. That weakens this running attack. That means we might have to rely a little bit more on Joe Burrow. We might have to rely a little bit on Ja'Marr Chase. And we think about what Ja'Marr Chase does. He's a big play guy. He gets a lot of his points in one catch. He gets the big play, the big touchdown. He's got a large average depth of target, and that is a little bit scary in PPR. And when you think about where you probably got this guy in your draft, you probably have a couple wide receivers you're really happy with. You might have some flexes that you're thinking about over Ja'Marr Chase. But this week, to me, he's a great guy. He has a lot of boom potential, a decent floor, actually a pretty good floor that he's shown thus far. And that all despite the fact he hasn't had a consistent targets of 8, 9, 10 a week. He's still been producing, and when you consider the connection going back to LSU between Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase, they just have been finding a way every single week. I think he is a definite start, a definite solid flex in PPR, a great wide receiver too in standard. This is a guy that has a great opportunity to pop once again. And you think about the historic type of start he's had to his season. I don't see why it can't continue heading into week 5 against the Green Bay Packers. A put up or shut up guy this week, Allen Robinson. He has a really similar profile to the guy I had in this position last week, and that was Robert Woods. These guys both are on down years. They're both ceding to work to guys that we thought were going to be a lesser volume receiver in the passing attack. And in this case, that's Darnell Mooney. 58.2% started in ESPN leagues is Allen Robinson. And that to me is a scary proposition heading into week 5. I understand why you have him in there. We understand the pedigree of this receiver. We understand what he's done in fantasy past. However, fantasy present, he has not been producing. And part of that being, we have to think about the idea that we have a different quarterback there. And I understand he has produced despite the quarterback situation, but Justin Fields truly seems to have a connection with Darnell Mooney that has seemed to affect the what happens with Allen Robinson. And you have to wonder, is this going to continue throughout the season? And heading into week 5, a matchup against Las Vegas. Not a great matchup. They just shut down Mike Williams. They just shut down Keenan Allen last week. And it once again, a bad matchup for Allen Robinson heading into week 5. I understand why you would start him. The potential obviously is there. However, I see a lot of warning signs, and this to me is the last opportunity for him to put up before he has to regain my trust to get back in the lineup. Moving on, we have some wide receivers in a great position to succeed this week. Emmanuel Sanders right now for the Buffalo Bills started in 37% of ESPN leagues, a number that I could see go up if you guys need a solid flex, a wide receiver 3. I actually think he goes into that wide receiver 2 conversation in the standard format. And started in 20.8% of ESPN leagues and rostered in only 65.3%. So there's still a great opportunity for you to go out there and get Emmanuel Sanders if you want him. A matchup against Kansas City. Now, I don't think Kansas City marches up and down the field against the Buffalo Bills. I do believe this is a very good defense, a very good secondary, and they will at times bog down this Kansas City offense. With that said, this is not a running game script for either team. And that's a good news for Emmanuel Sanders owners. A guy who has at least 6 targets in every game. And since Josh Allen started picking up the pace and looking more like 2020 Josh Allen than early week 1, week 2 Josh Allen, Emmanuel Sanders has reaped the benefits. And I don't see why that should stop in a great matchup against Kansas City in a game where I can imagine both teams scoring 3-4 touchdowns, and I don't see why Emmanuel Sanders can't have an opportunity to snag one of those touchdowns. There's a little bit of worry about got Dawson Knox stealing those touches in the red zone, and he has been great in the red zone, and he could very well be great once again this coming week. But Emmanuel Sanders has big play all over him. And this defense in the Kansas City Chiefs is not great, and I don't see why Emmanuel Sanders can't get a couple big plays, can't find the end zone in week 5. He, to me, is a great flex in standard, a great wide receiver 2 on the low end, and once again, a great flex, or in standard leagues, if you have 3 wide receivers, he is a solid, great wide receiver 3 for week 5. Another guy, Marquise Brown. This guy started in 37% of ESPN leagues, and that one actually kind of blows my mind a little bit when you think about the fact that Hollywood, outside of week 3, to me, an aberration, has been absolutely awesome, absolutely efficient, has been reliable. Once again, outside of the aberration of week 3, he's been very reliable in the passing game, and he's been making plays. Add that in conjunction with the fact that he's been on 4 Monday Night Football games, and in four Monday Night Football games, he has 4 touchdowns. Think about what he's done this season. He's got 3 touchdowns, 4 games, should be 5. Once again, going back to that aberration in week 3, but he should have had 2 more touchdowns in week 3, and there would be no question that this guy would basically be a must start for everybody in week 5. But because of that one weird aberration in week 3, there's only a 37% start percentage for Marquise Brown heading into week 5. And to me, that is very curious. He's got a great matchup. And like I said, he's got touchdowns in all the Monday Night Football games he's been in. Bateman, still a question mark heading into Monday. And even if he plays, I imagine he has a marginal role. And then you think about Indy, who's ceded 8 touchdowns already to wide receivers, and that number probably should be more when you think about the fact that they played the Miami Dolphins and the Titans the last 2 weeks. The Titans dealing with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones injuries, and then the Miami Dolphins are just a fucking mess right now. They are terrible, terrible offense, unfun to watch, just absolutely unfun. It's sad because they looked like an offense on the precipice of breaking out this season, and they are the worst offense in the league. So you take that into account. Despite the fact that they've faced those 2 offenses, they've still given up 8 touchdowns to wide receivers. I like Hollywood's chances of getting a fifth touchdown, or a fourth, maybe even a fifth touchdown on Monday Night Football, but a fifth Monday Night Football touchdown for his fifth game. Great opportunity for him to get over 100 yards again and go boom, boom, boom for your team. The next guy, not a lot of time for you to see the video on this guy, but I wanted to get him in there, and that's Van Jefferson, and he was in my start sit this week. But the more I looked into it after that video, the more I realized this guy has a lot more potential than a guy that's being started over him, and that's Robert Woods. And started in 1.6% of ESPN leagues, rostered in only 9.8% of ESPN leagues. I think this guy right now is for a desperate owner, specifically more in standard over PPR, but with the ability to boom even on a minimal amount of targets and a minimal amount of touches in this offense. He makes one of the better desperate wide receiver plays that you can go out, grab off of most waiver wires right now and plug into your offense. And when you think about what his advanced metrics are at this point, he's got a catch rate of 72% from Matt Stafford, despite the fact that he's got an average depth of target of 13.8 yards. That's actually really good, guys. And then you put in conjunction with the fact that Stafford's has a rating of 151.4 when targeting Van Jefferson, 5.1 yards after catch per reception, and he's averaging 46.5 snaps per game, despite the fact he only had 36 snaps in week 1. He got a big bump after his performance in week 1. Week 1, week 2, he only had 3 targets. Week 3, week 4, he had 6 targets in each one of those weeks. Big bump in usage, and we can see why. Matt Stafford likes to throw downfield. This guy is a downfield threat. He right now looks to me as the guy that's developing into the number 2 of this passing attack. He, to me, has the opportunity to supersede Robert Woods this season. He has the ability, to me, to make Robert Woods irrelevant moving forward past this season. And I think he has an opportunity for desperate owners to reward them for faith on a very small sample size. So this is more a DFS guy. This is more a desperate owner situation, deep league, 14, 16 teams. But I think season long, he also has opportunities, so you can go out there right now, pick him up, stick him on your roster, see what he does tonight in a great matchup against the Seattle Seahawks. And then not your week, I'm going to have to go with Brandin Cooks. Not looking like your week right now. He started right now in 61% of ESPN leagues. New England has been good against wide receivers, and outside Cooks, what do you have to worry about in Houston? I think Bill Belichick looks at the Houston Texans. He goes, what do I need to worry about here? I need to worry about that guy right there, Brandin Cooks, and nobody else. It's Cooks or bust in this offense. And Bill Belichick, with an improved defense that has a number of players that have returned after their sabbatical from the COVID season. It's a much improved offense from 2020. More Bill Belichick offense, and it has the ability to frustrate opposing cornerbacks and take away wide receivers. And when you think about the fact of rookie Davis Mills looking worse by the week, when you think about Brandin Cooks, the only efficient offensive weapon for the Houston Texans, what is Bill Belichick going to focus on? I don't like Brandin Cooks this week. I think he's a terrible start. I think he's a guy that the fact that you have 61% of owners, I understand he had a rock star start to the season, but week 4 showed when you get this offense against a good defense, bad things can happen for Brandin Cooks. And I could see a repeat of week 4 and week 5 and a sour taste for owners of Brandin Cooks. And honestly, I think you can see it coming. Odell Beckhan Jr. at LA versus the Chargers. He's got a 34.7% start in ESPN leagues. That's good. honestly, to me, like, I could see that number going down as well. At the same time, maybe you don't have anybody better, but I would rather play a guy like Van Jefferson over Odell this week. When you think about the fact that Odell and Baker Mayfield have never been on the same page. He had an opportunity last week, but Mayfield overthrew him on what would have been a touchdown play. Mayfield dealing with apparently a torn labrum in his shoulder now. There's no other wide receivers for the Chargers to worry about. Landry's still out. Donovan Peoples-Jones, after all the talk, never showed up. He runs a shit ton of routes. He's out there on a shit ton of snaps, but they've never looked at him. So defenses don't have to worry about anybody other than Odell. And you think about what this Chargers defense did last week against Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I'm not liking Odell's chances this week to really reward you for putting him in your lineup. To me, he is a sit. I understand why you might have him in there. Maybe you think you don't have anybody better, but I think there are going to be people all on the waiver wire that are going to have better weeks than Odell that you can stream, Van Jefferson being one of them, if you can make that happen before tonight. Beware Robert Woods. I understand there's probably a little bit of excitement after Sean McVay came out this week and said, part of what's going on with Robert Woods is on me. I need to make more of an effort to get him the ball. But let's face it, man. Right now, Robert Woods is not a downfield threat. So even if they make him more part of the offense, is it going to be a vertical part of the offense? And if it's not going to be a vertical part of the offense, like to me, it's like, what? Is he going to get 6 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown? So 18 points? Like, that to me seems like his ceiling right now. In this vaunted passing attack, Robert Woods' ceiling in PPR to me seems like 18 points. And that's just not good enough, in my opinion, on a guy that hasn't performed this year to stick him in my roster. When you're thinking about Robert Woods, 61% started this week. 61% of people still trust this guy to have in their roster on their starting unit. This guy has no more than 5 catches in a game. Okay? No more than 64 yards in a game. He's averaging 3.8 catches a game. He's averaging 43 yards receiving per game. That's down from 58.5 from 2020 and down from 75.6 in 2019. He's lost 32 yards a game in receiving since 2019. It's his lowest yards per game since 2015. Lowest per target, average depth per target of 6.9 since 2015. It's his worst season since 2015. And guess how useful Robert Woods was in 2015? About as useful as he is right now. To me, beware. You stick him in your lineup. You know what you're getting at this point. And to me, even with an uptick, his ability to blow up is minimal. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave comments. I love interacting with you guys. I will be joining 1080 The Fan on Sunday morning with Mike Lynch and Rashad Taylor. We will be doing the Fantasy Scramble. We answer your start-sit questions. You can text in your start-sit questions to 503-250-1080. You can listen live on the Odyssey app, and I will have a link down below that you can click so you can listen live on Sunday mornings. Again, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, so you get that last half hour right before kickoff to get some start-sit questions answered live by a panel of me, Mike Lynch, and Rashad Taylor. Thank you for watching, and make sure that you check out Week 5 running back start-sits.